Hello everybody. Today we'll be having an introduction to the lesson Resources and Development from Geography Class 10th. Before we begin, let us first understand what a resource is. A resource is defined as everything available in our environment that can be used to satisfy our needs, which is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable. Now, lots of people think that resources are free gifts from nature, but they are not. We as humans transform material available to us with the help of technology and institutions to form resources which are economically useful or add value to our lives. Thus, resources are a function of human development, and humans are essential components of resources. Now that we have understood what resources are, let us look at their classification. You may recall the classifications you have learned in grades 8 and 9. Resources can be classified on the basis of origin, whether they are biotic or abiotic, exhaustibility, whether they are renewable or non-renewable, ownership, whether they are owned by a particular individual, a community, a nation, or are owned internationally. Then, status of development, whether it's a potential resource, developed stock, or reserve. As we have spoken about before, resources are not free gifts of nature. Some may be exhaustible while others may be inexhaustible. How are these issues of resource depletion arising? Well, they arise because of one reason: overutilization of resources, which can lead to multiple other problems, such as depletion of resources to satisfy greed of some individuals, division of society and classification as rich or poor because of unequal resource accumulation, ecological imbalance and global crises such as global warming, pollution, ozone layer depletion. Hence, to protect these resources and conserve them, we must have more sustainable practices in our lives, or else our planet will be in danger. Moving along to our next topic, which is sustainable development. Let us first understand what sustainable development means. It is economic development or development occurring without damaging the environment, and the kind of development which does not compromise the needs of our future generations. Let us look at two more events significant to sustainable development as mentioned in the lesson. First, the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit. This summit was held in the month of June in the year 1992. The question of environmental protection and socio-economic development at a global level was discussed. More than 100 countries' global leaders signed the Declaration of Global Climate Change and Biological Diversity. It was through this summit that the adoption of Global Forest Principles and Agenda 21 occurred. What is Agenda 21? Agenda 21 aims to combat environmental damage, poverty, disease through global cooperation. It also aims to ensure that local governments of different countries create their own Agenda 21. Agenda 21 was signed at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in the year 1992 in Brazil. Now, let us look at how sustainability and resource planning in India occurred. First, before this, let us understand what resource planning is. Resource planning is a strategy adopted for the judicious use of available resources and is fueled by the reason of unequal distribution of resources. It is also created for economic and sustainable development. Let us look at some examples of unequal resource distribution for a better understanding of the concept. In India, states like Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh are rich in coal but lack technological support, whereas states like Arunachal Pradesh have abundant water resources but lack infrastructural support. States such as Rajasthan have equitable solar and wind resources but lack water resources. the cold deserts of Ladakh, are rich in cultural heritage but lack natural resources. Hence, resource planning becomes essential in India. Let us look at the process of resource planning and how it is carried out within our country. First, the identification and inventory of resources across different regions of our country is mapped out using survey, mapping, qualitative and quantitative estimation and measurement of resources. The second step involves planning for resource development using appropriate skills, technology, as well as setting up apt institutions required in different regions. Third, is matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans, because resource development and national development go hand in hand. These same steps were used to carry out the policy of resource planning from the very first 5-year plan right after independence. Yes, independence. From independent, I can think about colonization. Let us look at how resources and colonization are intertwined. Most countries attract foreign invaders because of rich natural resources, and these are the main reasons why colonies are even set up in different nations. Technological development of colonizing countries help them exploit resources from our colonized regions. An example of this would be India, which has experienced colonization because of the availability of resources as well as the technology and quality of human resources required for proper development. Let us look at why conservation of resources is important. We as humans have irrationally consumed and overutilized resources, which has led to socio-economic and environmental problems. Resource conservation at various levels, whether it be local, national or international, are imperative to overcome these issues. Let us look at some of the views and events that have contributed to conserve resource. Gandhiji viewed that there is enough resource for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. He was against mass production and wanted to replace it with production by the masses. Let us look at the international levels. Resource conservation was advocated for the first time in the year 1968 at the Club of Rome. In 1974, Shoemaker in his book Small is Beautiful accepted Gandhian philosophy of resource conservation. In the year 1987, the Brundtland Commission report extensively mentioned the necessity of resource conservation. It advocated for the concept of sustainable development, which was subsequently published in a book titled Our Common Future. With this, dear students, we have come to the end of our introduction to Lesson 1 of Geography, Class 10th, Resources and Development. Part 2 for Land Resources will be out next week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.